Good day and welcome to Impact News, folks. We're going to give you your news stories for the week, beginning with some news from the hip hop industry about rapper Lil Durk. I don't know if you've heard of Lil Durk. He's a singer, songwriter, and a rapper, folks. He is donating $350,000 in grants and scholarships to Howard University. Yes, he is. And it's all coming through his Dirk Banks endowment fund, and he's doing it in collaboration with Amazon Music. Isn't that fantastic? These people are, this is some wonderful people out there trying to help everybody uplift themselves. The singer, songwriter, and rapper is providing two students with $50,000 scholarships to attend Howard University, and those two students were selected from 20 who are participating in his Neighborhood Heroes HBCU College and Careers Readiness Cohort program. Go Lil Durk. Also, he's giving $250,000 to Howard University. It is going to go to their GRACE grant. That grant was created to help students who are needing some additional financial tuition assistance. Okay, so since it started, the GRACE grant program has proven that it works because it's seen a 15% increase, the recipients, a 15% increase in retention and a 4-year graduation rate of 78%, folks. That is a 32% increase compared to those who did not receive funds from this program. So you know what happens, these kids, something happens in the family and the kids have to drop out, and now they've got some help. So we thank Lil Durk, Howard, and Amazon Music for that. And if that's not enough, folks, you also need to know that Lil Durk isn't just stopping there. He's also working on voting. He's given money to Chicago Votes. Those two entities distributed 29,000 bottles of hand sanitizer to the Illinois Department of Correction. So he's working with a lot of organizations to make sure that he is uplifting people. He is from Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood. He is no stranger to adversity. He grew up with a father who was incarcerated, folks, when Lil Durk was just 7 months old, if you can imagine that. He himself became a father at the age of 17, dropped out of school in order to join the Black Disciples. That's a street gang. He also served time for gun charges. He has 6 children. He is engaged to his longtime girlfriend, and he's a Muslim. And we thank you, Lil Durk, because he is proving that no matter what your circumstances are, you can rise above them. So we thank you for that. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Stay with me. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Impact News. We're going to give you your stories for the week, and we're going to start in news that is being reported in the hip-hop industry, folks. Let's take a look at Texas, where a man there, 36-year-old Larry Pearson, is now going to spend 70 years in prison, folks, because he spat on a police officer during a domestic violence arrest. That's right, folks, okay? He apparently spat at the police officers while he was being arrested. He reportedly also had prior convictions for aggravated robbery and family violence. So he's been sentenced to 70 years in prison. Now, while this is going on in Texas, you should know that Texas Governor Abbott, well, he's asking the state to pardon a white man by the name of Daniel Perry. He's an Army sergeant who was convicted of murdering a Black Lives Matter protester in 2020. Abbott said this about his anticipated pardon, and I do quote, "I look forward to approving the board's pardon recommendation as soon as it hits my desk," unquote. There you go. Convicted of murder, pardoned. Well, it was a Black Lives Matter protester, so I guess that's worth it. Boy, I'll tell you. Let's go to Kansas City, where a 16-year-old Ralph Yarl fortunately is recovering after being shot for going to the wrong house to pick up his twin siblings. The homeowner allegedly opened the door, took one look at Yarl, shot him in the eye, looked at Yarl in the eye, shot him in the head, folks. Okay, and that's according to Yarl's aunt. She adds, "My nephew fell to the ground and the man shot him again." Oh, yes, people. Ralph was then able to get up and run to a neighbor's house looking for help. Unfortunately, he had to go to 3 different houses before he was able to get some assistance, and then he was told to lie on the ground with his hands up. Remember, he was shot. Okay, the shooting was reportedly racially motivated. A GoFundMe campaign has raised over $2 million to try and help him. We'll see what happens, because he had planned to go to Texas A&M University and major in chemical engineering. Of course, he was shot in the head, so you don't know what the residual effects of that are. So fortunately, Yarl's family has retained civil rights attorneys Lee Merritt and Benjamin Crump. So we know we will get some resolution in the matter. We just hope the young man is able to go forward with his life. All right, and then going to Florida, where 23-year-old Angel Footman, she's a teacher in Tallahassee, Florida. She's accused of organizing fights at a middle school. Seriously? Okay, reportedly school administrators were shown videos of the alleged fights. Okay, apparently several sixth graders told detectives that they participated in the fights. They were planned fights during school hours. That's what the kids say. According to a probable cause affidavit, a detective has reviewed that footage and identified footmen sitting on her desk during the fights, making statements such as "no screaming," "no nothing," and "stop pulling hair." The teacher now faces 4 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and of course we are assuming her teaching license has been revoked, as it should be. All right, let's take a look at your health. Americans are dying younger, and where you live does make a difference in how long you live. The average U.S. life expectancy is in its worst decline in 100 years. So research from American Inequality, it found that Americans born in certain areas of Mississippi and Florida may die 20 years younger, yes, than their peers born in parts of Colorado and California. What are the drivers where they appear to be to this lower life expectancy? Of course, guns, of course. Also, income support, Medicaid expansion, drug overdose prevention, and safe abortion access. In wealthy areas like Aspen, Colorado, and Santa Clara, California, median household incomes reach the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And guess what? Americans live to 87 years old on average. Now, when you go to the poorer areas where the household income is about $35,000, life expectancy is around 67 years of age. And for African Americans, the news is even worse, because in every state, African Americans have lower life expectancies than their white peers by 4 years of age. All right, meanwhile, we do know that Black people in counties with more Black primary care physicians do live longer, and that is the word from the Journal of the American Medical Association, a study published in their network Open. It does increase that increasing the diversity of the medical workforce may be key to ending health disparities. The team found life expectancy increased by about 1 month for every 10% increase in Black primary care physicians. And then thanks to global warming, here comes the march of the new deadly pathogens. And now the newest one is called Candida auris. It's believed to be the first pathogenic fungus to arise from global warming. It's deadly and spreading rapidly in healthcare facilities. In 2022, there were nearly 2,400 Candida auris infections in 28 states, with Nevada and California reporting the highest numbers. That's almost 40 times the number of infections over a 3-year span starting in 2013. That is the first known year where we got the first case here in the United States. So we have to pay attention to the climate, as we all know. Now let's talk about fast fashion. There's good news and there's bad news. We'll start with the bad news. We'll go to Chile's Atacama Desert. It stretches from the Pacific to the Andes Mountains, and we'll also go to Accra, Ghana. There's a dump in both of those places. The one in Accra, Ghana, folks, you're not going to believe this. It is 60% closed, and it rises 65 feet high. That's like 6 stories. Oh my gosh. The Atacama Desert, going back to Chile, is one of the world's fastest growing dumps of discarded clothes. The United Nations says it is an environmental and social emergency for the planet. Here's why. You're not going to believe this. Between 2000 and 2014, that's 14 years, clothing production doubled and consumers began buying 60% more clothes and wearing them for half as long as they once did. Today, 3/5 of all clothing, folks, ends up in landfills or incinerators, which within a year of production, you know what that means? That means a truckload full of used clothing is dumped or burned every second. Oof. But there's good news. All right. Residents are creating recycling businesses, and they are helping. There's EcoFiber. It builds home insulation panels from textile waste. There's also EcoCytex. It turns used clothes into clothing yarn that can be used to make new clothes. And they can also even make synthetic wool. And there's also importer Delara. It plans to open a recycling plant this year to make fillings for cushions, couch cushions, from the clothes that it cannot sell. So keep being ingenious. We're going to solve this problem one way or another. Taking a quick look at the diaspora, the U.S. is spending more than $400 million to build a new embassy in Trinidad and Tobago. The move is going to provide scores of jobs there during the embassy's construction. The embassy is expected to open in 2025. It will feature state-of-the-art and eco-friendly designs. And then also the United Nations International Organization for Migration, the IOM, it's launching a new UN-backed network. It's going to save migrant lives in the Americas, including in the Caribbean, folks. The IOM's Missing Migrants Project documented 1,433 deaths last year. That's the highest number since its establishment in 2014. And they're going to connect civil society organizations, government institutions, journalists, and other key actors to try and save more lives. Those are your stories. Stay with me. Be right back. Your slave word of the week, folks. The word this week is plutography. Plutography, plutography. That is a noun, which means it's a person, place, or thing. It comes from the American English, and it dates back to the 1980s. That's one of the more recent words. The definition is depiction, presentation, or coverage of the rich, particularly the lifestyles they enjoy, and we'll use that in a sentence. From Dynasty to the Real Housewives series to Succession, viewers are obsessed with watching plutography on television. All right, here's sentence number 2. Plutography is a hallmark of classic American literature, as the lives of the rich and famous have been featured in many works, such as F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby and Henry James' The Portrait of a Lady. Plutography. That's your slave word of the week. It's a depiction, presentation, or coverage of the rich, particularly the lifestyles they enjoy.
Anyone who thinks that slavery ended in the 1860s with the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation are grievously wrong.
If we caught a bird, we ate little feathers and ate the bird. We didn't have nothing to cook on. We didn't have no stove.
You know who you are and who we are.
We're still on that big plantation.
She was bonded to them until they died. She was their slave.
They said, well, we're going to be killed tonight.
Could that same white dude keep terrorists there, or Russian spies, or the KGB, and the government wouldn't know it? No.
They thought I was beat so bad that I couldn't do nothing, but I did.
Where are you? You know we're out there looking for you, and with everyone's help, we'll find you. Here's our feature of the week. Have you seen 15-year-old Anaya Gayton? She's been missing since February this year from Dallas, Texas. That's Anaya Gayton. She's 15 years old. She's been missing since February of this year from Dallas, Texas. Anyone having any information, please contact McKinney Police Department, and their phone number is 972-547-2700. Where are you? We are looking for you, and with the community's help, we'll find you. Welcome back. Here's our international report with Dr. Inyang Ebong-Harstrom. Ini, how are you?
I'm good. We've just finished the World Bank and IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C. And again, climate was on the agenda. And in this story, we have Mia Mottley of Barbados, who's been extremely vocal at these meetings, angry that the financial help that has been promised for years now to developing countries who are worst hit by climate change, even though they're the least offenders, she's very, very cross, very, very cross. And basically, the World Bank meetings were supposed to be a new era of affordable loans for developing countries hard hit by climate change. But instead, what we got is the feeling of being sidelined by wealthy nations that balked at either providing more money themselves or significantly changing the lending rules to make more funding available. And really, what Mia Mottley was saying is that the level of damage that their countries have sustained from climate change is unbelievable. And without the financial help, they cannot move forward in addressing some of these concerns. And the demands against the World Bank are growing, but the World Bank is not being responsive. And you know the biggest lender to the World Bank is the United States. Well, of course, they don't want to go to Congress that is Republican dominated to say, give us more money for the World Bank. So they're stalling and making very little incremental changes. So instead of freeing up billions, they freed up only maybe 4 billion. So it's really, really an issue for these countries. You look at Pakistan, what happened in Pakistan with all that flooding. You look at what happened in Vanuatu, where they're trying to move the villagers to higher ground and they can't afford to do it. They need the money.
Do they not get it, Edie, that we're all, and when I say they, I'm talking about the United States, Western Europe, et cetera. Do they not get that we're all connected, that this is going to take everybody down? That's why we have to help everybody. Is that the problem? You've traveled.
You know, it's an issue of making money available. And it's just, I don't know that they understand this level of interconnectedness. They say they do. They really do say they do understand it. But at the end of the day, it's still that selfishness with the leading Western countries not making the funding available, and the ones that are the least responsible for this climate change bearing the most burden.
Well, let's just hope Mia Motley, if anybody can help to turn the situation around, it's Mia Motley. She's absolutely brilliant. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, Dr. Inyang Ebong-Harstrup. That's your international report. Thank you, Edie.
Thank you, Carol.
Stay with us. Welcome to your financial news, folks. We're going to start with the auto industry because the $25,000 electric vehicle is coming. GM's electric Equinox SUV is going to come in around $30,000. That should happen this fall. Meanwhile, Volkswagen and Fisker are launching new EVs that are 30% or more below average U.S. vehicle prices. Now, there are currently 3 EV models with base MSRPs under $30,000. They are the Chevy Bolt, the Bolt EUV, and the Nissan Leaf. Most lower price EVs are competing in a market for compact sedans, and that market could hit 10 million units over 5 years globally. That's a lot. The new cars are going to be comfortable, but they're going to be somewhat bare bones, so you need to know that. But if they catch on, they will cement electric transportation as a mainstream consumer good. Also today, let's look at VF Corp. It owns Timberland, Vans, and the North Face. It's making sure that the cotton that the company uses is not greenwash. We thank them for that. To do so, they bought the first ever verified regenerative cotton crop in Haiti. And of course, they did that with the help of the Smallholder Farmers Alliance. Now, regenerative cotton agriculture practices place greater importance on soil health, water retention, and local economic benefits, in addition to managing the chemicals that may be involved in the process of creating the good. In a recent survey, 3 out of 5 consumers say at least half of their purchases consisted of socially responsible or sustainable products. The 2021 global harvest of certified organic cotton, you should know, was up 37% year over year. And the top 5 cotton producing nations are India, China, the United States, Brazil, and Pakistan. And together they control 77% of the global output. And then finally today, the Pew Research Center defines middle class as Americans whose incomes range from 2/3 to 2 times the median household income. The nation's median household income was $70,000 in 2021, according to the census. So here's what it takes to be middle class, folks. Roughly $82,000 a year in household income if you're in San Francisco, $74,000 if you're in Seattle, $60,000 if you're in Washington, D.C., but only $24,000 if you're in Cleveland. Mississippi has the lowest middle-class salary threshold of $32,640, followed by West Virginia, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Those are your financial stories. Thanks for staying with me. We'll be right back.
I'm just sick and tired of us not spending time together lately.
I know, baby. I know. I'm sorry I ain't been spending time with you. I've just been working on this big deal. It's gonna bring a lot more money to the household for it.
What you doing here, boss? Yeah, just checking to see if you still got it.
You take this work. Your partner. I don't want it back.
I've seen the movies, man. I know how this goes.
You see the movies, huh? What you see? Goodfellas, New Jack City.
Everything I do is for you. Like, I just need a little bit more time, man. Fine bullshit. Like I said, he's gonna call any second.
Why don't you take a look at this video? Guess what? It's starring
You.
Thanks for staying with us. We are back at you with your health report. And of course, that's how we close the show, with your health. Hey, Dr. K, how are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me. Boy, what a topic. In the Washington Post today, the lead researcher, et cetera, was an African-American man from Georgetown University. And the study came out that said, in every stage of life, women outlive men. And the longevity gap between men and women is the longest it has been in a generation, and that is 6 years. Now, African American men have the lowest life expectancy in the United States in every category: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, you name it, they die sooner. So the article, of course, goes into all the statistics, but of course we want answers. So what should we do about it? Well, one thing is, we women are going to have preventive checkups, perhaps even starting in our 20s. Men are not. So the thing is, encouraging our young men to go in and have a preventive medicine checkup, where maybe they look at your cholesterol, they look at your kidneys, they look at your blood glucose. Men don't do that. They said men go into the doctor basically when they have erectile dysfunction and when they have something where they notice their stamina is lower. But prior to that, they do not seek out the medical community. So we really have to encourage men to go in, get checked, start in your 20s. In other words, encouraging preventive health, encouraging healthy life habits throughout their lives. So it's not okay to be obese. Diabetes is a major cause of death in men, much more so than women. Getting health screenings to prevent things like cancer. So we've got a spotlight on women's health maybe in the last 20 years, and that's wonderful, because we know we needed it. But what's happened is that, in a way, the spotlight on women's health has kind of left out men's health. And because of that, men don't have advocates like that, especially Black men. So what we really have to do is talk about everybody's health and really make studies about everybody's health. But for the men in your lives, encourage healthy life habits, preventive medicine, early intervention, and understanding that risky types of behaviors, fast driving, alcohol, drugs, biking, in dangerous places, or not wearing bike helmets, seriously, statistically impacts the lives of men.
Wow, so interesting, Dr. K.
Yeah.
Every time you come on, you bring us so much interesting information. We so appreciate you and all of your knowledge. So, and we thank you for tuning in to hear all of her knowledge. But we will see you next week, of course, with more interesting information about your health. Thank you so much, Dr. K.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And from all of us here at Impact News, we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with more information. I'm Carol Angela Davis.